Let's start in the NFC with the Super Bowl champs. We're near Philadelphia here in Mount Laurel. So the regular season total was, I think, 13. Will they have more, less, or the same? Peter.
I'm going to say more than 13, which is saying that they're going to have two losses or less. And the reason is they get back Carson Wentz, right? They get back Jason Peters, they get back Jordan Hicks, and they added Haloti Ngata, and they added Michael Bennett. The Eagles won a Super Bowl despite having several of their best players, Darren Sproles included, Chris Maragos, their best special teams guy, not on the field. I think they got better, they got healthier. They've got the full arsenal, and then they didn't sleep. I mean, Mike Wallace comes in now as a wide receiver. Howie Roseman did not just say, let's rest on our laurels and let's just bring it in. They added players now. Could that be toxic? Could that be mixing with the chemistry and the juju? We'll see, but for me, if I have to pick one or the other, I'm saying they're going to win 14 or 15 games.
15
Not
games.
15 games.
You know what? I'll just jump right in. I was going to say same, but I'm going to put up more, too, and I'm going to echo what Peter said, but I will do it with the aid of a visual. The Twitter account of today's guest, Carson Wentz, this goes back months. This is exactly what you're talking about, Peter. Showed the tweet from the quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles, the guys that they are getting back. It's them. They're hanging out. There it is. That's the crew right there. All you have right there is Jason Peters, the best left tackle in all of football. Sproles, Maragos, Wentz. Look at Sproles, more like Swoles. Look at those. That's the guy they're getting back next year, and they already won 13 without most of those guys.
And they add Dallas Goedert and got rid of Trey Burton, but this guy has some of the best hands in this year's draft, so it's almost like they're clowning on the rest of the league. How are you going to stop these two tight ends now?
That's what I'm saying. I love it.
Pump your brakes. Golly. Listen, why don't y'all calm down a little bit? Listen, I don't mean to spit in your cereal this early in the morning, but I'm going to keep it real, and I'm going to make sense. Let's think about this logically. When they're going into the season next year, they're going to have Carson Wentz. We all understand he's a dominant player, and I do agree with you. They got better. It's rare that you'll have a Super Bowl team come back and get stronger and faster, and that's exactly what they did. But you don't think, after them winning all those games, going into the later part of this season, that all of a sudden they sit back and say, hold up. Wait a minute. Let's sit our quarterback down and let's ease on into the stretch going into the playoffs with the quarterback that won the Super Bowl for us. Losing Carson Wentz to the ACL late in the season, that might cause them to sit back the last couple games. I'm saying they're going to go less because they're going to win about 11 games, and then towards the end, they're going to take their foot off the gas a little bit.
You're saying they'll lose just because they're going to sit their starters. I like it.
Listen, if you have Carson Wentz towards the end of the season, you got to sit Carson Wentz if you're having a great year.
Without Carson Wentz for the end, they still had a top-5 defense, a top-5 offense. They did lose Frank Reich, so we'll see how that plays out in Philadelphia. Now, the Minnesota Vikings won 13 regular season games a year ago, so more or less or the same. Nate, what do you think about the Vikings?
Put it up.
I'm going
Throw up the L.
And it has nothing to do with the team. This team is just as good, just as powerful. I ran into Stephon Diggs when we were down in Dallas, and he is as focused as ever, one of my favorite wide receivers in this league. They're going to get Cook back. They have Latavius Murray. Nothing against Kirk Cousins, but I do feel like the chemistry is going to be something that they're going to have to work on. Now, they can fix that this offseason. They can fix that in the preseason. But there was something about what Case Keenum was doing with that offense that you can't easily replace. So I'm saying less.
Go ahead, Peter. Go ahead. Do what you're born to do.
The Vikings are this is the team, guys. This is it. This is the team that brings back, everyone gets a huge upgrade at quarterback.
Right.
Kyle?
When you go Keenum to Cousins, that's a giant upgrade.
Is it?
And Sheldon, it is.
Is it?
It absolutely is.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
All right.
It is.
And their defense is just as good, if not stronger.
They added Sheldon Richardson and
total
Mike
scoring
Hughes.
#1.
Everybody's going undefeated, Schrager.
Yes. This team is doing better. And guess what? I know Aaron Rodgers is coming back and the Bears got better and you can punch a bunch of holes that you want. Kirk Cousins is better than Case Keenum, and they added Sheldon Richardson to the best defensive line in football. So I'll say them more.
Peter, you got two 14-win teams so far in the segment. I like it, but I'm going to go less. I love Kirk Cousins, the Bugle Boys, the Hush Puppies. I love him as an individual. But, Peter, no one has hyped Aaron Rodgers more this offseason than you. They're not missing. He's Pennywise this season coming from Minnesota. He has never had a bigger huckleberry since
stop
the
clowning
draft.
around. Stop
That's what I'm
clowning
saying.
around.
Forget about it. He's coming out of the sewers. And I don't necessarily think that Kirk Cousins is going to be better than Case Keenum. Upgrade, sure, on paper. Case Keenum was a hell of a player last year. Maybe they still win 12. I'm not insulting them.
Right.
I just don't think they're going to win 14.
It was sort of a magical season. They have won the NFC North 2 of the past 3 years. We'll see how it shakes out with that chemistry between Cousins and company. Let's move on to the Rams now. The LA Rams, I think I'm finally in 2018 used to saying that instead of St. Louis Rams now. They won 11 games. 11 games, #1 offense the regular season. More, less, or the same, Kyle?
I'm going to go less. I mean, they didn't go through free agency. They went through plastic surgery, right? They changed. From what I understand, it takes a while to get used to that. And they added
very LA thing.
Very LA. Just throw a bunch of money at fake parts and say they're part of me now. I think that's what they did. Also, let's just talk about this right down the middle. The schedule, they have Chargers, Vikings, then a 3-game road streak, and then Packers, and then at New Orleans. That is a gauntlet. I like the Rams. I like McVay. I'm going to go a little bit less, though.
I'm going to go same. I also think the Rams caught a lot of teams off guard last year. Like, to start the year, it's what, the Rams? They have to worry about the Rams. Then they caught fire, and then they had the worst schedule as far as strength of schedule goes for the whole entire season last year. So, to me, I think same. They added a lot of pieces, but I really have a hard time saying they're going to win more than they did last year, 11.
You know, I don't look at it like plastic surgery. I look at it like they were living in a mansion last year, and they just added on to that mansion. They are powerful. Listen, these aren't old players. This isn't Karl Malone and Gary Payton with the Lakers. This is guys that are in their prime and playing with the team that was dominant last year. I say that they're going to win more. They're just getting started. You got to understand, that was just a taste of what McVay could do with this offense. Another offseason of them sitting back, working on everything they could do, son of bum, and what he has on that defense, I'm going to say more.
He's the 2017 Coach of the Year, Sean McVay. The thing about buying a mansion, though, is that sometimes you like it and you make the addition of the house, you put in the pool, and then you're like, how do I pay property tax on this bad boy? How can I afford the electricity in this bad boy?
That's why you throw one hell of a party one night.
Yeah, there are a lot. This is their window, you're right, for the LA Rams, because otherwise, you got to pay Aaron Donald and company. Now, the New Orleans Saints, moving on to them, 11 regular season wins in 2017, same as the Rams, more or less or the same, Peter?
Less. The NFC South is so good, and I thought the Panthers got a lot better this offseason. I think that the Falcons loaded up. You add Calvin Ridley to that already explosive offense with a whole year to go into Sarkisian's off. And then I think the Buccaneers got better. I just don't think that the Saints, who really dominated the NFC South last year, are going to have a cakewalk again. I think in the division they're going to struggle. And they have now a first-place schedule. It's a lot different than a last-place schedule than they were dealing with last year. So I'm going to go with less. I don't think they missed the playoffs or anything, but I don't think they win 11 games.
Triggs!
Lucid points, Peter.
Pollyanna.
The NFC South will cannibalize itself a little bit, but I think this is the alpha cannibal. I'm going to go more. We say Minnesota is almost like a perfect team. I think the Saints are like Minnesota, except their quarterback is way better and way more proven. They're the youngest, coolest team in the NFC, I believe, and I think it's the Saints.
Yeah, the offensive rookie of the year and the defensive rookie of the year entering their sophomore seasons. I can't wait.
Yeah, and you said a perfect team. How about the perfect combo? I'm going to say the same. I'm not going to say more. I'm not really dove in on that, but I will say the perfect strangers, though, is their running backs. They are absolutely phenomenal, the best duo in the business. And the thing that put it in perspective for me last year was when Drew Brees lit up the skies one game, and then the following game, they won without him scoring a passing touchdown. That was eye-opening. If they can go into the season with that type of consistency, I think they'll do the same. And that's 11 wins, which is great going into this year.
Drew Brees knows what time it is. He knows that he's got to win now. I think he's going to will them far into the playoffs. All right, the Carolina Panthers, 11 regular season wins back in 2017. More or less or the same, Nate?
I'm going to go with more. I'm all the way in on Cam Newton.
It seems like
I love him because last season he was going into the year and he was banged up in the preseason. He didn't play, if my memory serves me correctly. And then even the beginning of the year, he started off real slow. And then all of a sudden, middle of the year, we're like, oh, wait a minute, did somebody wake up the monster? And he was back, looking better than ever. Now you got Cam Newton going to a whole offseason, feeling good, and not to mention he's getting some really good players, new players and guys that were banged up last year. I'm going to say more. 12 wins would be great for those guys.
More, do you like DJ Moore?
I do. I love him, and he's going to fit right in where Kelvin Benjamin left off.
Secret weapon is the man in Cam Newton's ear. He's got Norv Turner now as his new offensive coordinator. I think they're going to do a different type of offense than what we've seen the last few years with Mike Shula. I honestly feel like the defense is going to be solid. They lose Steve Wilkes to be head coach. The sky is the limit for this offense under Norv, and they added all these pieces at wide receiver, both in Torrey Smith, and obviously they get Curtis Samuel back with DJ Moore. I just feel like the offense was just scratching the surface last year, and this year they could be really lights out.
The Norv Turner is really compelling.
Norv Turner.
He is the offensive equivalent of Wade Phillips. And I'm going to go less. Not everybody in the NFC South can win. I have to pick somebody not to win. Look at the Panthers' last half decade in the Cam era. Every year they've had a good season has been followed by a down, been followed by good. They're every year up and down like clockwork. I love them a lot. I just love the NFC South more.
But they've still made the playoffs 4 of the past 5 years. So
Right.
the survey says they'll probably be there again. Last but not least, let's talk about the destination for this year's Super Bowl. The Atlanta Falcons won 10 games in 2017. Kyle, more or less or the same?
More. I like Atlanta. I think on the fly last year, they changed their team on the fly with their hair on fire to a defensive team. Now a whole offseason again with Matt Ryan and Steve Sarkisian, plus Calvin Ridley, plus I think the youngest, fastest defense in the NFC. I like Atlanta this year.
I'm going less, and hear me out.
Oh.
They start the season playing the Eagles on a Thursday night kickoff game. The end of the season's in the Super Bowl in Atlanta. All you're going to hear about is hype.
Yep.
Dan Quinn has used bad losses to motivate. I need to find what their motivation is. I hope I'm the motivation right now. Dan Quinn, you can play this clip in you're all about motivational tools. I think you guys win less games. Now use that because you need it, because that NFC South is loaded.
Flavor special.
I'm going with the same. Now, I have this relationship with the offense coordinator. I love him sometimes, and then I hate him sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm talking Steve Sarkisian. One game, Julio Jones goes for 215. Next game, he gets 4 passes.
Yeah.
So for me, that inconsistency causes me to say that they're not going to win more games. Now, they're so talented, though, and they're so loaded, and Julio Jones is so good. The running back, Tevin Coleman, Devontae Freeman, they're so powerful. I can't say that they're going to win 8 games. They're not going to go 8-8 or 9-6.
They might.
But 10 games for me is enough. But until Steve Sarkisian can prove that he can run this offense consistently and get Julio Jones the ball consistently, I'm not going to say they'll win any more games.
Do you think they're going to miss Taylor Gabriel, Dontari Poe,
No.
Adrian Claiborne? No.
I would say they're not going to miss Taylor Gabriel because they didn't use him.
They didn't use him, yeah.
So it's like I can't even say that. It was on my notes, but what's the point of saying it when they're not going to use him?
Him being out there commands respect, though, doesn't it?
Not if you're not using
How
him.
good is the NFC?
The New England Patriots. They won 13 games last season. A lot of ups, a lot of downs, a lot of drama, a lot of what have yous, but the same old Tom Brady. More or less are the same wins.
Less.
Really?
Less. No Cooks, no Amendola, no left tackle Nate Solder, and Brady and Belichick. I don't even know if they speak anymore, the way that we're reading things this offseason. It's all subtle shots. It's Brady doing more talk with Jim Gray and his personal trainer than it seems like Belichick. I can't see with all the departures on the roster that they could be even better next year. And in the draft, they got nice players in Sony Michel, and they obviously picked up an offensive lineman, and they traded for Trent Brown. But to lose Cooks and Amendola and then expect just other guys to step up and be those guys, especially at left tackle with Nate Solder, I don't see them winning more games. I just want to see Brady and Belichick together in the same room and talking.
They won
Separate
12.
bedrooms.
They
Separate
won 12
bedrooms.
or more games for the past 8 seasons straight, dealing with Brady not even being on the field.
Yeah.
Come on.
Less. Separate bedrooms, Kyle. Mommy and
or
Daddy
same
are
bedroom,
fighting.
2 single beds, like the Cleavers. That's
Mommy
never
and Daddy
good.
are not happy.
Listen, I wish there was one up here that I almost wanted to say who cares or something like that. You know, just let me explain why.
I know what you're talking about. Go
because the only thing I want to how many playoff games did they win? 1, 2, or 3? That's the only variety. That's it. Last year it was 2. Peter, they did lose some good players. Julian Edelman comes back. Like, do you want to tell me that Josh McDaniels isn't going to do some cool things with Cordell Patterson? You know he is. You know he is. He's going to do cool things with Sony Michel. The question is whether or not they win the Super Bowl. That's all there is. So I'll say, I don't know, they'll win last 12 games instead of 13, sure. But they'll be there. They're a different breed.
He's not wrong.
I'm
sorry. They're my example paddles.
I'm going with more. I feel like
More.
every single season we have the same conversation with the Patriots.
Yep.
It's what did they lose? Who left? And, okay, Matt Patricia might be a big deal, but not if you're the New England Patriots. This is something that motivates them intrinsically more than any other team. Oftentimes it's like a blow to a gut when you lose a big player or you lose a coach. But the New England Patriots, they say, all right, next guy up mentality. That's usually something teams put on the wall but never apply to themselves. For the Patriots, it's what they live by. So I couldn't tell myself that they're going to win the same amount of games because I do feel like they're going to get better because every single season they do it the Patriot way. I'm saying more wins.
Moving on to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They won also 13 regular season games in 2017, more or less, or the same. Kyle, will start to you because, they can't slay the dragon.
None of these paddles work for me. Again, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers, the same thing. How many playoff games are you going to win? Maybe they win 11, 12, 13 regular season games. I need to address something, too. I hear this a lot. Maybe you guys do. I just heard it today. Why does Kyle hate the Steelers?
We all get that.
I have nothing against this. In fact, we have Steelers on the show constantly. I actually love them. They're one of the best teams for Good Morning Football. They just don't get over the hump. And so I try to be really objective with that. I can't blow smoke and say, the Steelers are great. They don't get over the hump every single year. So this year, if this is going to be the year to do it, they got to take out the Patriots. And by the way, they got to take out the Jaguars because I feel like the Steelers have been on the shelf for a while. And there's some young talent, whether it's Tennessee or Houston or Jacksonville, who are coming for that Steelers spot. So TBD, how many playoffs are you going to win? Is it going to be 1 or not? I don't know.
And I'll be that guy. I'll say less.
Okay.
I look at this team. I think that they gave up 42 points or 45 points, and defense was terrible last year in the playoffs. And then they fired their offensive coordinator, Todd Haley, and promoted the quarterback's coach. And Roethlisberger's talking out this week about and Le'Veon Bell's unhappy with his contract. There's just a lot going on. There's a lot of noise. And to Kyle's point, it's not so much about whether the Steelers aren't going to be the same team on the field. It's that the AFC is coming. The AFC South is coming. You look at the Jaguars. You look at the Titans. You look at this West Coast teams. The Chiefs are getting better and younger. The Raiders. The Steelers have had this sweet spot where the Ravens have been on a downturn, the Bengals have been on a downturn, and the Browns have been on a downturn. I think all three of those teams are better, and I think the Steelers, I'm not sure they're better with the loss of Todd Haley. I like Todd Haley as their offensive coordinator. They scored a lot of points the last few years.
The AFC South
he wasn't the one I think they were losing.
You're right, Peter.
And
it's almost like the honeymoon's over.
It is.
Everybody's coming back. They have the most talented players.
They're great.
They were top 5 offense and top 5 defense. What can they do to get over the hump?
I don't know, okay? And I got the answer. It's the same, and it's a double meaning because the same amount of wins, but it's the same team. That's what you should have put up because it is the same team. Right. And, Peter, to your point, the rest of the AFC, they're not just coming. They're here, baby. The Jacksonville Jaguars are for real. And as much as I love the talent, as much as I feel like you can't deny that the Hall of Fame quarterback with the wide receiver and Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell being the dominant force he is, once they get to the playoffs, how are they convincing that they are going to be Super Bowl contenders? I don't see that. I see a dominant regular season team, and I see a postseason team that can go in there and hit somebody in the mouth. But when you look at the Jags, they don't scare teams like they used to. The Jags were walking into that game saying, wait, what? You guys act like we didn't just beat up on them in the regular season. And then they went and beat up on them in the postseason. So I feel like the rest of the teams are looking at the Steelers the same way.
You say the Jags are the real deal. Let's talk about them. They won 10 games a season ago. So, Peter, more or less or the same amount of wins? 10.
Less. And I love Jacksonville. I love what they have. I just think the AFC South is really good this year. I think the Titans are going to be much better. And I look at the Colts. If Andrew Luck is back, that's not playing against Jacoby Brissett twice a year. And then the Texans get back Watt and Watson. Jaguars lost Allen Robinson and Allen Hurns, 2 of their top wide receivers. And I know they didn't play with Allen Robinson last year, so they were fine. But I have a lot of question marks about the weapons that they got Blake Bortles, and I want to see if those are the guys. If DJ Chark in his first year can be that guy. So I'm going to say less because I think the AFC South is going to be biting at each other the entire season long.
It's Buzzkill City. I got to say less, too. They're the coolest team in the league, right?
Sorry, Lenny Curry.
Mr. Mayor Curry, I hate it. I'm sure you're watching. Last year, everything was so perfect. You know, Calais Campbell coming from the inside, all those sacks. You don't see that very often. The secondary is so young and so good. I think it's kind of similar to what you asked Carson Wentz about, Kay, about Jaguars are now the hunted. They're not sneaking up on anybody. And I really like the Titans. And if Andrew Luck's back, that division. So I would love to see the Jags go 19-0. I love them. I just don't know. It's going to be tough sledding.
Improvements. They added an all-pro guard and Andrew Norwell. They have DJ Chark there. And low-key, what if I told you that this was a top 5 offense last year? Top 5 offense last year with Blake Bortles.
And Fournette comes back healthy off of that ankle jump. Say, give me some more. I'm going to say, give me some more. Listen, this is a talented young team, one of the best in the business. You guys are talking about this team as if they're not going to get better from what they did last year. You said it's an anomaly, maybe an outlier season for the sacks that they had and the amount of turnovers that they had. You got to imagine what they're doing going into this offseason. And Blake Bortles, for whatever it's worth, they paid him for the right reason because he had a great year. And, yes, the one thing that concerns me is the wide receivers. Who's going to be that guy? Who's going to be that alpha dog in this group of young fellas? But I feel like this team is just getting started, guys.
Nate, you've been hyping Deshaun Watson a lot. You love Deshaun Watson. You can't have both.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson's going to be great. The Jaguars are going to have problems, right?
You're right. That's a good point. That's a good point.
Immovable object, irresistible force. AFC South.
Kansas City Chiefs. Kind of polarizing this season. Patrick Mahomes under center. 10 regular season wins back in 2017. Shipped their quarterback to the Redskins. More, less, or the same. I have no idea. I have no idea.
I'm going with less. And this isn't a shot to the talent on that team because I feel like they have as much talent as anybody offensively, starting with the running back all the way down to wide receivers and, of course, Kelsey. But for me, it's going to be Pat Mahomes going into his rookie season. Yes, I said it, his rookie season. When you go inside the locker rooms, players look at a guy who's set on the sideline as a rookie. So he's going to have some rookie mistakes. And I feel like that's going to put his team in a position where they're 9-6 instead of being 9-5, 9-6 instead of being what were they last year?
You got to take a lap, Nate.
Drop it down, take a lap.
Do it, Nate.
Math is not what
I was you.
9-7. About the offense.
9-7.
What do I always talk about?
It's going to be a 10-6
defense.
But he nailed this some more. That's one of the most important.
Cynthia Fryland does the numbers, not you, Nate. I'm going to go with more here, and I'll tell you why. Because if you want to say it was his rookie season, I get reports from the Chiefs camp that Alex Smith would be doing offense, and then they give one snap to Mahomes, and all the players would be like, oh, my God, oh, my God. And the coaches are filming him, like, on their cell phones and sending it around, like, did you see this throw? They didn't get rid of Alex Smith because he had years left on his contract. They traded Alex Smith because they had to get Mahomes on the field. They now have a better deep threat, and they have a bigger offense with Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy. I think more, and I think we're going to 2017 was a great year for the Chiefs. I think 2018 could be the Pat Mahomes era, and it's going to be awesome.
Oh, Peter.
Peter, you just made a comment about the coordinator being gone.
Freezing cold.
Kansas City coordinator's going too as well.
That's what this segment's all
He is.
about.
Matt Nagy is one of the best play callers in the league. They have to change. He went and took a head coaching job. Mahomes, though. Mahomes.
Right. Mahomes lights the fire, and what do you do around a fire? S'mores, with an apostrophe even. But no, I'm actually going to say less, because I love the Los Angeles Chargers. I love the Denver Broncos, actually. So Mahomes, it's exciting. It's great. It'll be a lot of highlights, but actual wins at the end of the game, I think the division's too good. I'm going to roll with the Chargers. Sorry. Somebody has to do it.
Marcus Peters gone. Yeah. Derek Johnson inks a deal over the weekend with the rival Raiders. No Tamba Ali. This was the 26th ranked defense last year. They didn't address the corner spot until the 6th round of the draft. They didn't have a first-round pick in this past draft. There is no way.
Eric Berry back, though.
And I love that.
Eric Berry back.
Eric Berry is back.
Problem guy in Marcus Peters. Derek Johnson is